Welcome to the recap show of Week 2 of the Jacked Up Fantasy Football League. I am the commissioner, and I am joined by one of our owners from Cleveland, Ohio. Let's welcome Mr. Brian Avon, owner of the Cleveland Crushers. How you doing, Brian?
Hello. I'm doing good, Commissioner. I'm glad to be joining you here from the rock and roll city.
That's
ready
right.
to do a little recap.
That's right. What did you think of that intro song, since you guys will never know what song I'm going to pick for you? Kind of appropriate, you know, Cleveland Crushers, Cleveland Rocks.
It definitely took me a little off guard there. I didn't know what to expect with the intro song, but it was a good choice. Good choice.
Awesome. Well, again, we're going to recap Week 2 here, but before we do that, a lot of you guys don't know who Brian is. Even the guys that are in Cleveland have never met Brian. So what I'm going to do on the screen here is I'm going to show a quick bio of Mr. Brian Avon here before we get going. But before I do, I need to read this warning. This TV show is rated for mature audiences. Okay, so viewer discretion is advised. I would not have your young kids, watch the show. All right, I had to put that little disclaimer. All right, let's get into the bio here. Mr. Brian Avon. It's a picture there with his younger daughter, Delaney. How cute. All right, so Mr. Avon, second year in the league. Last year you finished 500, 7-7. You obviously missed the playoffs. Your favorite team? Yeah, obviously. Your favorite team of the Cleveland Browns. Your favorite beer. Let's talk about this for a second, man. Great Lakes Dortmunder. Man, you and Randy, where do you come up with this shit?
Well, Val, I'm a fan of the crafted brewery beers, and actually I really like the seasonal stuff. Whatever season it is, I kind of go by seasons at what I like to drink the most. But the Great Lakes Dortmunder is available all the time, and it's always a good go-to.
Okay, all right. And then your favorite shot is Jägermeister, but let me preface by saying it must be chilled, correct?
Absolutely. You try to drink it warm. It's not very tasty.
But isn't that how everyone drinks it chilled anyway. I mean, when is the last time you had a warm Jägermeister? Come on.
Well, honestly, I can't remember the last time I had a Jägermeister, period, now that I'm 40, but that's beside the point.
You're a man. You're 40.
Usually when I do Jägermeister, I tend to forget things, I like to remember everything if I can.
Dude, I had some bad experience with the Jägermeister, man. But your favorite hobbies, this is what I listed for you, man. You can add some things if you want, but this is obviously besides spending time with your, family. We got golf, bowling, billiards, darts, fantasy football. I mean, you've been bowling longer than I've known you, and longer than you even had a driver's license. Is that correct?
That's probably correct.
Are you like Roy Munson from Kingpin, where you were a little kid and your daddy teaching you how to bowl?
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I don't have the flop over hairdo that Roy pulls off in that movie, but actually he probably has more hair than I do, but that's beside the point, I have one 300 game under my belt.
Do you really?
Yes.
I did not know that, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
So which bowling alley? Because we got another owner in our league, Bubba, actually the champion, Farmer's Tan, Simply Perfect, whatever his name is this week. He's a big bowler too, so maybe we can have a little bowl off between the two of you, man, and see who's better.
I bowl on Thursday evenings at Brookgate. I currently have a 215 average. It's it's not my highest average, but it's still pretty good.
So which bowling alley do we have to walk in to see this perfect score and your mugshot on there?
It's Brookgate on Snow Road.
Okay. All right. Next time I'm in town, we're going to go look for it. And of course,
I don't think there's actually a picture up there, but okay.
All right. Well, if you haven't guessed by now, he resides in Cleveland, Ohio. By the theme song, married with two lovely children. And before we get into the fantasy football, the not so important stuff in the world, I want to kind of bring up something that I think has definitely hit home to the Avon family and to a lot of people out there. I want to talk about the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and the Light the Night Walk that's coming up on October 13th in Cleveland. So some of you Cleveland owners out there, if you want to join the Avon family, Bubba and Andy, you guys are welcome to do that. I can get you guys in touch. And I will forward a link for a donation. But just a quick story here. This is the picture of Riley Avon. You can't see this, Brian, until the show is broadcasted, but the picture of her, the Girl of the Year 2012, beautiful little picture with the little ribbon and Girl of the Year. Riley Avon, 4 years ago, was fighting leukemia, and we're happy to say that she won the battle. She's one of the bravest young girls you'll ever meet. She's been in remission for 2 years, but it's because of the society like the lymphoma and leukemia that it's for a great cause, and the money is donated for the research to help other kids and anyone else that is fighting this terrible disease. So is there anything else you wanted to add to that, Brian, or was that a pretty good recap?
That's pretty good. I mean, I guess one thing I want to add is that it's amazing to hear, some of the stats when you're going through stuff like that, like just even 10 years from the time that Riley was diagnosed, like what she was diagnosed with, like her chance of survival was maybe 30%, and then 10 years later, because of the money raised, it was all the way up to almost 90%. So they're almost all the way there,
Yeah. No, it's a great thing, and we kind of sometimes until stuff hits you directly or hits home, we don't really kind of think about these kind of societies out there that are out for a great cause, and it really puts things in perspective when you hear this story. And of course, I know the story very, very well, and again, I'll forward a link to all the owners. You guys are welcome to forward a link to someone you know, and donate whatever you can. $10, $20, whatever you can. But let's try to help this great cause. All right, so on to the recap. And again, you can't see this, Brian, but we're going to start by talking about my game, which is a pretty pathetic game, actually. The Archon Tigers absolutely crushed yours truly, the Playmakers, 157-74. This was not even a contest. I mean, my guys, if you look at the stats, only 2 of them scored in double digits. I mean, when your kicker leads your team in scoring in the week, you got problems, you got issues. And his team just absolutely went off. I mean, Hakeem Nicks, almost 200 yards receiving. He was so tired from that game that he's going to be out tomorrow against Carolina. So, but any comments on the game? I mean, I don't want to spend too much time, because not because it's me. I mean, I want to congratulate Zach, because he actually said that I wasn't giving him enough props. But I mean, he won an ugly game in week 1. And, okay, he crushed me. He blew me out. But I'm still not going to give this guy any props. I mean, we got to see how the season develops here. But any comments?
We do have to see how the season develops, and I kind of agree with your week 1 analysis of Zach's team, but he definitely laid the smackdown on you this week, and I would actually probably go on record as saying that's probably going to be the most points he scores all year. I don't care, what he thinks of that comment, but I'm just going to say that right out there.
Trash talking, I love it.
I'm sorry?
I said trash talking, I love it.
Yes. As far as your team, your team hasn't really done so well for you. Aaron Rodgers hasn't really been the #1 pick in a draft, that's for sure so far. And, you just had a really bad week. But I really can't say it too much because, my team didn't score as much as you. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah, which is actually pretty sad. There's actually there's 2 teams that scored less than me in this week.
Yeah, that is pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
But you know what? Aaron Rodgers went up with two of the best defenses in the league, so I think his numbers are going to balance out. So
you certainly would like to think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Absolutely. We're going to move on to the Serve Destroyers and the Frosty Paws, 139-74. Another guy that just opened up a can of whoop-ass on somebody here. I mean, absolutely destroyed him. Of course, the Eli Manning, Victor Cruz connection outscored the entire Frosty Paws by themselves. So, I mean, let me tell you just something, Brian. You don't know this, but Zach and Jake must have sent me 100 text messages. Every single time one of their guys got a big play or scored, they want respect. They want me to come on this show and apologize. I ain't gonna fucking apologize. For what, 1 week? Jake scored 70-some points in week 1. So he had a breakout week. Big deal. Just like Archon Tigers, let's see what you can do throughout the season. I'll give you some props. Any comments?
Yes. 1 week does not make a dynasty, and they need to relax a little bit.
Thank you.
I would say, obviously, Jake had a very good week, but both those guys scored a lot of points because of one game in the NFL, which was absolutely crazy because the Giants just went crazy in a matter of about 15 minutes in that game.
Exactly. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, Eli Manning had 510 passing yards. That's probably the most he'll ever have in his entire career. So,
I don't know what's going on with Frosty Paws here with their Roy Halou. I mean, do they not even pay attention to what's going on? That they don't put the right right people in the lineup. I don't get it, you know.
Well, one thing that Zach brought up over the weekend is he actually picked up Mark Ingram, who Jake dropped, which I thought was a mistake. But Jake's notorious for dropping players that still have potential. But he drops. I mean, he picks up Ingram, but doesn't play him in favor of Halou. So I don't know. Maybe the guy was absent.
I'd say it was a brain. I guess the nice way of saying it was a brain fart. That's about it.
Yeah. Well, even if he added all 14 of his players, it wouldn't have got to the 139. So
this is true.
Let's move on to a very, very interesting game here. The Eliminators and the High Flyers. 123 to 111. This was really exciting because it came down to that Monday night game. And, one guy has Matt Ryan, the other guy has Tony Gonzalez. And there was a drive there where Matt Ryan just kept giving the ball to Gonzalez. So, it was kind of like helping the High Flyers, of course, because you get 1 point for every 10 yards as opposed to one for every 30. So, next thing you know, garbage touchdown, like in the late fourth quarter, Matt Ryan to Roddy White, and that was the difference in the game here. And, controversy here, and I want to get your opinion.
Okay.
It did not make a difference in this game, but we need to talk about this. So, the Green Bay defense did not get credit on Thursday night for that fake field goal for a touchdown. And some of the owners I talked to think it should be a touchdown because it was a special teams on the field that scored a touchdown. Some of the guys were telling me, well, what's the difference if they fake the field goal but don't score a touchdown? You don't get credit for those yardage. They went for it on fourth down. It just happened to result in a touchdown. So CBS, a lot of the sites did not give a touchdown to the Green Bay Packers. Agree or disagree?
I would disagree. I would say you definitely have to give a touchdown to the defense special teams on that play. Of course, you don't get yardage in for that kind of stuff, but if they score a touchdown, you should get the touchdown value, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of went back and forth. The bottom line is it did not make a difference in this game because he still would have lost by 3 points. But, it brings up an interesting point. What if it happens again? How do we score it? I think we have to be consistent. So if we're not giving the High Flyers a touchdown, if it happens again, we can't do it. So we'll have to.
Well, I agree. Obviously, you can't change it this year, but yeah.
We'll talk about a lot of the rule changes for next year. So, but again, interesting game here between the High Flyers and Eliminators, and a nice rebound week for Randy. Moving on to TCB and the Prime Timers. Now, this. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me go back to Randy. Look at Randy's box score there, Brian. You got.
I'm looking at it. He's got like 3 guys with 0.
3 guys with 0, 1 guy with 1 point. So 4 players gave him a total of 1 point, and he still scores 123 thanks to an obnoxious game by Reggie Bush, just a crazy game. 40 points.
Yeah.
Ryan, Foster, and Ravens, of course. There's a quick 100 and some points right there between 4 players. So, yeah, I forgot to bring it up. I mean, when's the last time, you've been playing fantasy football for a long time, just like I have. I've never seen a guy with 3 players score 0 points, 1 guy score 1 point, and still win the game by, scoring 120. It's crazy.
It is. It's absolutely crazy. Looking at it right here, it's almost unbelievable. You try to add it up, and you're like, I don't get how it came to 123, but there it is right in front of you.
I know.
I don't know.
Another very, very interesting game. TCB and Prime Timers. You got a guy, Zoli, who I kind of busted his chop last week, and he didn't appreciate my comment how the 151 points was like his peak for the season. He had Forte, Vernon Davis, and Randy Moss in this game, and the Prime Timers had Crabtree. So in the fourth quarter, same thing. Alex Smith kept giving him the ball to Crabtree. And Prime Timers was up by like 2 points. Next thing you know, he's up by 3 points, 4 points, 5 points. I'm like, you know what? This guy's going to pull it out. And then, with 2 minutes left in the game, a 21-yard touchdown pass to Vernon Davis is the difference in this game. Talk about luck. TCB, probably the worst 2-0 team in the history of the Jacked Up Fantasy Football League. Looking at his roster, Blackman, who didn't even touch the ball. Why is Randy Moss on anyone's starting roster? I mean, can you explain that?
I don't understand. The only reason they even signed him is he might get some looks on the red zone. Other than that, I mean, if he doesn't score a touchdown, he's useless.
I mean, he's got Jonathan Stewart on his bench, who was announced a few hours before the game he's going to start. So he could have easily, I mean, it shouldn't have come down to a last-second play is my point.
This is true. This is true.
And
I
then,
agree with you there.
for Ryan and the prime timers, just a tough break with Hernandez going down in the first quarter. He loses by 5. You got to believe that Hernandez would have scored at least 5 or 6 points, and probably that I think that was the difference in the game here.
Yeah, I guess you would have to say that might be the difference, but looking at his lineup, for me, Michael Crabtree and Sidney Rice, it just doesn't look too good to me. I don't know.
Well, his bench is pretty bad. I mean, not very attractive there.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Well, hopefully, if Ryan Matthews comes back this week, maybe he'll have at least a better flex option than playing Sidney Rice.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's move on to Simply Perfect versus TNT, 87-61. This is the toilet bowl game of the week. I mean, these guys just absolutely both laid an egg. It just so happens that Tony laid a bigger egg. I mean, you look at these box scores. This is just plain old fucking ugly, Brian.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I'd have been playing Tony this week. At least that's the one guy in the whole league I could have possibly beaten.
No, I hear you.
That matchup didn't work out that way, but yeah, this is pretty bad here.
I mean, Tony actually thought he had a chance with Peyton Manning and down by I think 39 points. I'm like, are you fucking high, dude? He goes, I still have a chance. It ain't over yet. I think that the 3 interceptions in the first 3 drives of that game probably was the difference where he's like, you know what, let me just concede and throw the white flag there.
Yeah, he probably had, negative points after the first half of that game with Manning throwing all these picks.
Yeah, he had negative points until the fourth quarter. So, but, Simply Perfect. And here's a guy that, again, last week, of course he beats me, but this week, I think if you score 87 points, you probably usually lose. But this guy's 2-0. He hasn't lost since I think November of last year. I mean, dating back to week 9 of last year, he's won 8 straight games. So I guess for just one more week, he can be Simply Perfect. But again, I'm not crazy about this team, man. Look at the roster.
I think he's doing it with smoke and mirrors. This roster is pretty bad, at least in my opinion. But I guess I can't say anything. He's 2-0.
Yep, exactly. And last but not least, we got to talk about your game. This one probably could have also qualified for the toilet bowl game of the week. It probably came in second. 95-69. I mean, you went from scoring, what was it, week 1, 130 points to kind of almost half of that?
Well, here's what happened to me. I started thinking too much, which is never a good thing for me. But I started making some simple little changes. I changed my defense. I changed my tight end. And if I had kept the same 2 that I had the first week, I would have won and scored 120 points. But that's what happens when you start overthinking things.
Yeah, well, only Jake changes his whole roster. He's notorious for that after week 1. So that doesn't work out too well. So you got to just kind of trust your guys, man.
I don't usually change my whole roster, but when positions like tight end and defense, I kind of look at matchups sometimes. I like to play my gut, and obviously it bit me in the ass this week.
Yeah. I mean, your kicker just absolutely went crazy with 27 points. But, just the rest of these guys, man. Julio Jones, I mean, that was a shocker after having a great game in week 1. 1 point. I didn't get the pickup, that Fleener pickup, that tight end. I just don't understand that. I mean, I know you brought it up. You made a mistake, but what was your thought process to even begin with picking him up?
Well, he had 10 targets the first week. He went to school with Andrew Luck. It looked like, he's going to rely on him as a security blanket. I just figured he's going to get a lot of looks. And Steelick didn't do anything the week before against the Browns. So I was just thinking that was a better matchup. And, of course, obviously, in hindsight being 2020, that was wrong.
I hear you.
All right. Also, you look at Randall Cobb. Also, the week before, they give him 12 touches all over the place. He plays this week. They give the ball 2 times the whole game. I don't understand it.
Yeah. No, I definitely thought when Greg Jennings was out that he would have a chance to get some more targets, but he didn't.
Especially because of that.
All right, so on the screen now we have the week 3 schedule. I'm just going to go through it real quick. I'm not going to make predictions. It's a little too soon. I have a couple of weeks under my belt to do some analysis. Frosty Paws and Prime Timers. I think Prime Timers is just as bad as the Frosty Paws. I think Frosty Paws actually wins this week. Prime timers, Ryan Jennings, he's a big FSU fan. I think Clemson comes into Tallahassee on Saturday night and beats the Seminoles. So it's going to be a bad week for Ryan. He's going to lose in fantasy football. His Noles are going to lose. Frosty Paws is going to get his first win of the season. TCB and Serb Destroyers. This is where the Serb Destroyers come back down to earth. Not that I love TCB. I just think that the Serb Destroyers are inconsistent and they're way too overconfident after just 1 week. I think TCB, I hate to say, is going to go 3-0. Cleveland Crushers and Eliminators. You guys are both 1-1. Obviously this is the first round of the division play, and it's important to win those division games. You want to go 2-1 in the first round, and you could be tied for first place. Actually, you can't be tied because the Bulldogs can win and they could be 3-0. But I know you haven't had a chance to look too much when it comes to the roster of the Eliminators just yet. But I think he has a pretty decent team, and I think you're in a dogfight for this week. What are your thoughts?
Actually, looking at his roster, I would actually have to agree with you. I think his team is not bad at all. Okay. And unfortunately, right now, my team already being week 2, I'm getting hit with some injury issues with some wideouts that could be putting up some big points for me, but might be just sketchy plays because you don't want they get hit one time, it might be out. So I got some decisions to make.
I hear you. Then we got the High Flyers and Bulldogs, and Bulldogs can once again go 3-0. I think this will be the 3rd straight year if he wins this game this week. He'll go 3-0 in the first round of the division. And he's just becoming a consistent team. And again, you look at his roster, and I am not that crazy about this guy. But somehow he just always pulls out wins. It helps when his opponent, like you, scores 69 points, of course.
Take it easy. Take it easy.
Now, Playmakers and TNT, both guys are 0-2. This is an absolute must-win for both teams. So one team is going to start the season 0-3. I think it's going to be TNT, of course. I'm a little biased, but I just think that my team is better. I think that this is the game where Jordy Nelson, Rogers just absolutely go off, and this will be the difference in the game. And TNT starts the season 0-3 for the first time in his career. Last but not least, Archon Tigers versus Simply Perfect. Both 2-0. The bad thing about this game, again, is that one guy is going to be 3-0 in the division. And both of these guys have huge, huge egos. I actually like Simply Perfect. As much trash as he's been talking, he's not talking as much trash as Archon Tigers. And if Archon Tigers can knock off the defending champ, then I might give him some props. So any comments?
Yeah, I guess you're going to have to give him some props. I think Archon will pull this one out. I'm going to have to agree with you on that one.
Okay. Well, any parting words for the rest of the owners that are listening to and watching the show?
I guess my closing comments will be strap it on, gentlemen. It's going to be a long year, and I'm actually thinking about changing my team name to Slap Your Mama because after you get done playing me, I think you're going to want to slap her.
Nice. Well, thanks for joining me once again, Brian. It's a pleasure. I look forward to watching the show. Good luck to everyone this week, of course, except for the Archon Tigers, the Serb Destroyers, and TNT. Peace out.